Hello and welcome to this practice designed for our lower body and our legs, the muscles in our legs and also our joints, hips, ankles, knees. We're going to start off in a seated cross-legged position, having our hands lightly resting on the knees, and we're just going to bring our awareness to the breath, allowing the body to settle and relax, allowing our shoulders to relax down away from our ears. You might want to roll out your shoulders and just bring them back and down. And then we're just going to bring our attention to the breath, using the inhalations and exhalations to allow the tensions in the body and mind to soften and relax, letting the thoughts, letting them go, allowing the breath to become longer and deeper as we settle into our practice. Allowing this time for yourself to just be in the present moment, feeling into our breath, into our body, getting that connection. Letting the tensions in the body relax and letting the thoughts in the mind go. Just following your breath in and out. And then take a final deep breath in and out, opening our eyes. And we're going to use the breath to flow through a small arm sequence called Circle of Joy. And what we'll do is interlink the fingers in front of us, and we'll follow with the inhalations and exhalations. So exhale, stretch your hands out in front, arching the back, tucking the chin. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, down and interlink behind. Inhale, stretch through the chest and lift the chin slightly. And then exhale, bring the hands back round to the front to stretch out in front of you. Inhale up. Exhale, down, behind. Inhale, stretch through the chest and the throat. And exhale, bring the hands back round in front. Exhale the hands out in front. Inhale up. Exhale back round to the back. Inhale through the chest. And exhale, bring the hands back round in front. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, stretch through the chest. And exhale, hands back to front. And now if you want to bring your feet, so the soles of your feet are together in front of you, a comfortable distance away from you, and your knees are falling out to the sides. You might want to use your thumbs to give your feet a little massage at this point. Just allow the knees to soften, to bring some movement into the hip joints. You can butterfly the legs up and down. And it's just easing off the hip joints, getting some movement in there. And then we're going to bring our legs out in front of us, straight out in front. Bring up the right knee towards the chest, right foot on the floor. We come into a twist. So we take our left arm, wrapping around that right knee, right hand just placed down behind you, and you want to inhale and lift up, and exhale, twist round to the right. A couple of deep breaths. And then release. Switch legs, bring the left knee up and wrap the right arm around the left knee, left hand behind. As you inhale, lift, and exhale, twist round to the left. And then come back to centre, release the legs down, and we're going to come into a forward fold. So we're going to inhale our arms up, and then exhale, leading, hinging from the hips, leading with the chest, fold forwards, chest coming towards the legs. Have your hands at your ankles or feet, just at the side of your shins, and use the exhalation to soften down over the legs. Just breathing into the pose. And when you're ready, come back up, and then we're going to come up to standing to meet in Tadasana. And from here we're going to do some forward folds, and then slowly bringing ourselves back up, rolling up gently, and then folding back forwards again. So we'll start by raising our arms up on the inhale, and exhale, folding forwards. Have a breath in and out here, and then inhale, slowly rolling yourself vertebra at a time back up to standing. And we repeat that. Inhale up, and exhale, forward fold. Breath in and out, and then inhale, roll yourself back up to standing, head coming up last. Inhale up, exhale, forward fold. This time we're going to stay down. You might want to widen your stance slightly. You could take each elbow in the opposite hand and just hang here. You could swing side to side, loosening off through the neck and shoulders, letting everything soften down, letting gravity pull you downwards, getting that full stretch through the backs of your legs, but also down through your hips and down through your spine as well. And then when you're ready, slowly bring yourself back up, to Tadasana, mountain pose, and just pause here for a few breaths, feeling into the body, feeling into the sensations. Then we're going to come into some standing poses, which are good for the stability in our legs, hips, knees, ankles. So we're going to feel into the grounding all the way down our legs through to our feet. So we're just going to start in Warrior 2, so stepping the right foot forwards, facing the top edge of your mat, left foot comes back left foot pointing in at a diagonal, hips are also facing that same way, so your hips are in a neutral position, raising your arms up to shoulder height. You can check behind you to see that the back arm is at the right height as well, and then you're taking your gaze out over your front fingers, and you can sink down into the pose a little more, keeping that stability in your core and the grounding in your feet. And then you want to inhale, and we're going to come into side angle, extended side angle. So inhale and then exhale, leaning forwards over that front leg, coming down to either rest on your knee, or if you've got blocks, you might want to use a block here to rest that hand onto a block, and then your upper arm comes up and over to come alongside of your face. Rotation in the chest, try to bring that chest outwards, rotating upwards as we come into the full extended side angle. We then straighten the front leg and bring that into triangle pose, this time with the top arm pointing straight up at the ceiling, using your block to different levels to find what's comfortable for you, or bringing your hand down to the floor in front of that front ankle and keeping that rotation still through the chest. And you'll feel a nice stretch through that front thigh. You're then going to bring both hands down towards that leg, pivot the feet round, walking your hands through to centre to bring yourself into a wide-legged forward fold. From here you can bring your hands down in front underneath the front of your face. You could take your hands out to your ankles, bending your elbows, pulling yourself down to intensify that stretch a little more, or indeed if you want to use blocks underneath your face and bring your hands onto blocks. Just find the right practice for you today. You might want to use your blocks to rest your head onto blocks, different heights. Just do whichever version feels right for you, as you just enjoy this stretch in this forward fold. We're then going to walk our hands over to the left, turning that left foot out to face the top of the mat, and bring ourselves to open up into triangle on the left hand side. Again, you can use the blocks here if you want to. And then we're bending at that front knee and coming over into extended side angle, arm alongside the face, grounding down through that back foot as well, creating that nice long energy line from foot all the way through to the fingertips, and then raising up into Warrior 2 on the left hand side, gazing out over those left fingers, stable through the core, neutral in the hips. Remembering to breathe and then release and come back to mountain pose, and pause here for a couple of breaths, feeling into the sensations in your legs, letting the body settle. And then we're going to come into downward dog pose and through into a child's pose, and then we're going to do some stretches in a lunge position. So if you turn on your mat, face lengthways on your mat, and standing in Tadasana, and then forward fold and step back with both feet, pushing your hips back and up to come through into down dog, pedaling out the legs by bending one knee then the other, easing that stretch into the calves and the hamstrings. If you want to bring both heels down to flat to intensify the stretch in the back of the legs, you can, but it's okay to keep a soft bend in the knee as well. Just feeling to your body. And then we're going to come down into child's pose, so come down onto your knees and sit back to rest in child's pose, taking a few deep breaths here. And then sit up, and we're going to do a lunge and half splits stretch flow. So from tabletop, you want to bring your right leg forwards and placing it between your hands. And then you're sinking down into a low lunge on that side, getting a nice stretch through your hips, and then rocking back on that foot, straightening out the front leg so your toes come up, coming into a half split stretch, and then we're rocking backwards and forwards between the lunge and the half splits. Use your hands to support you, or indeed you can try adding in arms, where the arms come back as you half split and come forwards as you lunge, and arms back and then forwards into the lunge, arms up. And then when you're ready, we'll switch over legs, bringing that left foot forward between your hands and sinking into the lunge on the left hand side. And again, ease yourself down into that stretch. And then when you're ready, rock back, straighten the front leg into the half split stretch. Bringing the toes up. You can lift the toes more if you want to intensify that stretch. And then rock back forwards into the lunge and back to half splits, and flowing backwards and forwards between the two, adding in the arms, up on the lunge and back on the half splits. And then when you're finished, come back and meet me in standing in Tadasana, where we're going to take our legs slightly wider apart, not into a full wide leg stance, but sort of halfway apart with the width, have that right leg, foot pivoted, so the foot is pointing outwards, and then you're folding down over that right leg, your hands either side of the leg, and just folding down over the top. Again, using the breath to soften down, feeling into the stretch on the back of that leg. And then when you're ready, you can walk your hands and pivot your feet round to bring yourself over to the opposite side, where you're folding down over the left leg. Breathing and relaxing into the stretch. Come back to centre, walk your feet heel-toe together, and slowly rolling yourself back up to standing. Now we're going to do a nice quad stretch where you'll bring your weight into your left leg and bring your right foot up behind you, holding it in your right hand. So you're wanting to get your thighs level, really. You can use a wall for support, or indeed a piece of furniture if you want that extra balance. And you're bringing your foot up behind towards your right buttock to get that nice stretch down the front quad. You want to keep your core engaged and your pelvis slightly tucked under, so that you're not bending backwards, bending your bum backwards. Keep it nice and straight to try and keep the legs level, and that gets this full stretch down the front of that hip and into the quad. And then using the wall for support, if you want, you can try bringing your foot up behind you, stretching the leg back, raising the foot up, getting more of a stretch through the glute as well as in the hip. And then when you're ready, lowering that back down, releasing the foot and swapping over to do that on the left hand side. So bringing the left foot up behind you, holding in the left hand, keeping your pelvis tucked under, getting that stretch down the front quad. And then if you want to stretch it out by raising it up behind you, bring more of a stretch into the hip and the glute, using the wall for support, and then lower back down and release that left leg. And then we're going to come down to the floor to do some pigeon stretches. So you want to come down, you might want to use blocks or cushions to support your hips during this stretch, so get those if you want to use those. And you're coming onto all fours, starting with the right leg. You're going to bring that right leg in front of you, resting it down, the shin facing forwards, your knee bent, and then you're walking the back leg flat out behind you, so your heel of your front right leg will be near your left hip. Get this block or cushion to support under that right hip if you need it, as you're trying to sink down in the hips, but you want to keep the hips level. So if your hip doesn't reach down that far, then use a block or a cushion. Find the position that's right for you. Your front leg will be not directly straight as in a traditional move. It's just not very practical. So like I say, your foot will be down more with your heel towards the opposite hip thigh area. And then just take some breaths here while you're in the upright version, before lowering down onto your forearms, beginning to recline into pigeon, letting the hips soften, and if you want to come down to rest your head on your forearms, on the back of your hands, you can do, and be fully reclined. It's wherever the practice meets you today. There's no right or wrong way. Just come to what's right for you, where you can feel the stretch in your hips, but you're not causing any discomfort. And then just relax there for a few more breaths. If you wanted to, you could use a bolster or a cushion at this point underneath your chest and relax down into a supported pigeon. And then wherever you are in the posture, slowly use your hands to walk yourself back into upright and come down, roll down onto that hip and undo your legs round towards the front, bringing them out in front of you. You might want to give the legs a good jiggle, massage off that leg, bring some circulation back into the leg, some fluid back into the joints after the compression. And then we're going to repeat that on the opposite side. So bringing your left leg in front of you, so your left heel is towards your right hip, and then bringing your right leg flat out behind you, again using a block under your hip if you require one, or a cushion. Find where you can be supported under that hip, and take some breaths in the upright position, allowing the hips to soften as you come down to the forearms, to recline. And letting everything soften and relax. Coming down further into a fully reclined pigeon if you want to. And just using your breath to relax down, softening into the posture. And then bring yourself back up, bring your legs back round in front of you, easing that leg out, giving them a jiggle, a bit of a massage, get the fluid moving, and then you can bring your legs in, and maybe you want to window wiper knees side to side, just releasing off through the hips. And then we're going to come down to lying down to do a bridge flow. So lying on your back, knees bent, feet walked in towards your buttocks, arms by the sides. And we're going to inhale up into bridge and exhale, lowering back down. Keep the stability in your core and use your glute muscles to lift the hips. Raising up on the inhalation, and exhaling back down. And then we'll repeat that again, inhaling up, pushing up with the glutes, and exhaling back down. Inhaling up exhale down. One more time, inhaling up, squeezing before exhaling back down. And then taking your right knee in your hands, just tugging that knee in and out towards your chest. And then switch over and hug the left knee in and out. And then both knees together. And then you can take your knees in a circle, circling round one way a few times before reversing and coming back the other way. And then bringing yourself up to seated, but keep your knees bent. We're just going to ease off the ankle joints here. So lifting up the right leg and just rotate the foot round, taking it in circles one way and then back the other way. And then pivoting your foot backwards and forwards, pointing and flexing through that ankle, and then repeat the same on the left, rotating round, reversing it back the other way, and then pointing and flexing the foot. And then give yourself a nice hug in. Before we come to relaxation posture. Now for this we're going to do legs up the wall. It's a perfect relaxing posture for if you've been on your feet all day at the end of a day. It just allows that circulation to ease off in your legs and your feet and the joints. It's a very restorative posture. So you want to bring your hips in, bringing yourself towards the bottom of the wall and having your legs straight up the wall. If you want to use a cushion, pillow, bolster for a supported version, and then you're placing that under your hips, adjusting till you find the comfy position, and you can relax here. Arms either out to the sides, or you could bring your hands onto your abdomen, have your fingers slightly wide but lightly resting on the abdomen, and it's a great way to feel into the rise and fall with the inhale and exhale, bringing that awareness back to the breath, back to the body as you take your relaxation. Feel free to stay here in your relaxation for as long as you like. Just enjoy the time for yourself, and I hope you've enjoyed the practice, and thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you soon.